Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a long time. Have been some issues in the last few weeks, so sorry for abandoning you for a bit. In a project that I was in with 5 of my friends, 3 of them got laid off sadly, and now we are like 2 people there, and I'm also handling the marketing stuff, and things are kind of still shaky, so please lower your expectations from my end for a bit until I get back to my feet again. I'm still working, I'm not really laid off or anything, but yeah, I'm still in a bit of stress, and I'm still searching for something around. Anyway, so this is the doomer news from my end, but also on the other hand, I had plenty of time to focus on my own work and my portfolio a little bit. This is one of the works that I have done. This is a robot that I have designed last week. I was taking some courses on foundations of robotic design. Things get a lot more mathematical and complicated as it progresses, which I kind of dropped off from there. But as a start, I think it was a good start for me to think about the little bits and pieces, nooks and crannies, and smaller stuff for robot design. So this is one of those works that I've done, and I would like to walk you guys through about that design that I worked on. And yeah, here it is. Also, before we jump in, please like and subscribe. As always, I also forgot how to do this. It's been a while, I think it's been like 3 weeks or so. Feels like ages now. But yeah, I'm trying to get back to the old pace, and I'm sure YouTube will punish me for this. So I require your support more than ever before. So thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoy this ride, and we'll see you in a bit. I'm completely unprepared for this recording, but I'll walk you guys through about the design process of this robot. The first place I was thinking about making a logistics robot actually that could carry a considerable amount of weight onto its top. It could be used for assistance for the people who carry large weights in the field, either in the logistics or in a lab environment or in construction, etc, etc. So I was thinking like, okay, it could have some legs and a payload. So this was the main focal areas initially that I was thinking about focusing on. And of course, it kind of evolved into something else. I was thinking about like, okay, this is way too flimsy, and it will not be able to carry this much of weight because of the overall posture and the build that it has. It probably wouldn't look so realistic. On a technical standpoint, of course, it can work, because it boils down to material selections and stuff and structure. But in a concept art perspective or design perspective, I think it will look way too thin and unfunctional when I think about it. So considering that it could also be used in a construction, I was thinking like maybe I could at least make the upper leg part a lot more like tough and like much bulkier, so it could feel like it can carry a lot of weight. So it kind of evolved from here to here, and you can see the scale over here as well. And now I was thinking like this can also go a lot more autonomous than just a human assistant robot. So like a robot can be used by a human, an operator. So I was thinking maybe it could have some additional arms attached. It's not visible here, I will show you guys that. But in those arms, those manipulators extended the robot's reach and the overall scope of the project to something more autonomous than before. So you can see over here the overall articulations. It has like 3 joints over here, and their directions are basically this way, and it's facing over here. So at first I thought that it could have some covers, and then afterwards I just kind of moved on from that idea because I wanted to expose some of the mechanical parts, and then moved on to this idea that we have over here. It has the same payload, bulkier legs, but still it's not as flimsy feet as this one has over here. It's much more like a lot more believable when it comes to overall silhouette. So yeah, I think silhouette is also quite important when it comes to industrial design, because it's not only mechanical engineering, but still it has to be somewhat appealing to the eyes, and the design should somehow communicate with the end user, so when I see the design I could see the overall purpose of it, and it could give me a certain feeling, or like certain communication that it should direct behind its build, behind its overall purpose when it was engineered. So yeah, that was the main idea. Before we move on to the next phase, I would also like to show you guys the sketches that I have done on Wiscom by the assistance of Wiscom, I will say. These are the sketches that I directly sent to Wiscom from my initial sketches that I showed. As you can see, it's still in the same design sense. It's still very flimsy, like I called. Like, think about this design like if I'm like a very old person with some healthy shoes, or like having some trouble with carrying some stuff with me, I'll probably take this guy with me to grocery shopping. Or like this guy maybe, although he's kind of looking way too short compared to this. I think I will take this guy with me. Thinking about it, I think it's still an idea that I can explore, but still this robot is not built for a heavy purpose, for a heavy working field. These two are quite similar. It's just an exploration of CMF over here. It's just mostly color material, and also some shapes over here as well. I thought this part is kind of interesting, so I kind of incorporated that, but it's nothing really, not much of a difference between, and you can see a lot more difference. Like, it's quite obvious of a feeling between these two designs over here. This is also kind of more friendly than this. I think this looks more heavy fieldwork based design than this one, although this one kind of looks drone like, so I will probably change the design a little bit on this. Also, this over here, this empty triangle over here is kind of looking, making it look unstable. So in the end, we'll probably not go for a silhouette like this, because it kind of looks like this way to me. Let's see. And it's on wheels, so it needs a proper gyroscope over here so it can just stable itself, which is not safe actually, because when gyroscope fails, basically just tips over and it's not safe. It's mostly about like the overall overarching design over here on the legs and on the lower legs and upper legs. It has this like bubbly design and it's like soft design. It feels safe in terms of the lines and it's just more friendly, you know. That was a goal. That was a reason why I actually put it into here. But in the end, I went for something else. I'll show you guys in VR. Let's grab a sketch. As you can see, this is my living room, and I'm using pass-through. We are now prototyping design in Gradle Sketch. I'm just blocking in some ideas. Not ideas, but it's the initial idea. I'm just fleshing it out. It's the payload area, and the legs are already there. It's gonna be, of course, it's gonna be like quite symmetrical because of the stability reasons. The problem that I actually faced in this one is that we cannot play around with the pivot point in Gradle Sketch, and you can see here I just sketched it out very quickly and didn't really want to spend too much time on VR this time because you cannot change the pivot points and it doesn't really make much sense when I cannot do that. So I sketched it out and blocked everything out very quickly just so I can just move on to Blender eventually, like very quickly after this, just so I could just keep on blocking it. And like I put my notes there as well so that I could just think about it. Payload has delta like piston system, so it can just balance out the body itself. Yeah, I'll also quickly show you guys like I couldn't find the Blender model. I think I put it somewhere and just erased it something. It was like a very rough block out, and it was just this. I just put it into Fusion because the best way to model this robot was to like think about it in Fusion, and it will be much more like precise modeling involved in this. But in the very first stage, I thought it would make a lot more sense to do it in Blender first, like actual block-ins, just so I could see like how the articulations could work, how the joints can be like joined, and like how the measurements overall could be, the overall proportions and how they could look like, so that I could move on to Fusion. And as you can see, it has the arms here as well, and this part is going to be the sensors, and this is the payload, and the payload is also going to be moved. It can be moved up and down as well, so if there will be like a very heavy load, and if it will need some human assistance to it, it could also lower itself down, so it will be easier for people to just lift things up and just put it on top, so it can just also lift itself up afterwards and keep on operating in the field with its arms. It's also easier for it to just grab something from the ground. It's like our spine actually. It can just lower itself down with the legs as well, and just lift something up and just put it on top, and it could just move on with it to its life. So there's like two joints over here on the on the hip and on the head. So these are basically just attached with under like with the spine over here, with another joint, and there will also be like a suspension system over here, like hydraulics, so it can just also lift itself up and down. Yeah, this is that currently. Was that order in that time. I'll just move on to the next phase now. I'll show you guys. So this is how it looks like. This is the end result actually. Sorry for jumping in straight to it, but I will show you guys how I actually approach this, and maybe it will explain itself. So it has multiple pieces into it. So it's like it has the legs, it has the arms, so you have to be a little bit careful about organizing yourself in this and just open each asset in different projects, and each part it has to be worked in a separate way, so you can also put things together. It's much more convenient that way instead of doing everything in one file. So over here I have the vents in different file, hands in different file. These are the legs and the sensor over here as well, and the head piece in a different file. So if I open one of them, this is the head piece. We have the arms over here, and also I actually also tested out the joints. Blender is also very easy to quickly rig something out and see if they're working or not. But this also I've really found very convenient because I'm doing precision model over here, and also I can test out if the joints are working, or if the measurements are working overall. So it was also very easy to put the joints and see how they are actually interacting with each other over here as well, as long as they are in different regarding folders here as components. They could be attached with a joint, and then you can see how they are actually working out. So this was the shoulder joint, for example. I attach it over here and just joint this cap to the shoulder, and then I added the joint, and I put the I don't know if I put it over here, but some of them has it's their own constraints, so you cannot actually bend it into the other part. Like you cannot bend the lower arm into the shoulder, which is great. You can totally see like if you're forcing constraints in one of them, how far it can actually reach out, which is great. I really found very intuitive, very convenient as well. You can see over here, like you see, like it actually reaches to the constraint, and it doesn't go further, and it's like in the very edge, and it's not clipping at all, because I actually put that constraint over here while I was modeling first, and I really find it very helpful. Going back to the actual model, I think it also translates the joints in the file that I have put together. Let's see. Yeah, you can actually use it over here as well. I didn't actually attach like some vents and stuff coming from the components, but you can test them out in separate component files as well, so it's still works out quite well, I think. We have vents over here because all those joints and like the actuators create heat, and they're all motors, so they have to somehow vent out the heat, and they have if you open these areas, let me go back to the leg for example, and maybe we can put like a plane over here. section. Inspect. Section analysis. Use this. It's not steer. Some parts actually have some actuators inside. I'm trying to find them. Maybe the head actually has that. 1 second. Oh, head is here. Okay. Let's put a plane here. Suction. Section analysis, yes. We have the actuators here and motors inside, and they're very large and they need to handle a lot of wave, so they should vent out their heat. So there must be some ventilation systems in regarding places, otherwise it can heat out and it will stop working and just break down. It will require a lot of maintenance and stuff, which is also another problem because everything is like covered with a cap and you can just take it out and just easily manipulate stuff and do maintenance. And next to that we have these fingers over here which has plastic parts, which is avoiding helping us avoid a lot of it creates a lot of friction, so things will not slide from the end. And they're also attached to the arm with 2 joints, and which allows us to just reach out to the longer reaches, and that also means that you can also lift up the very large pieces, so you can also put it on top of the head. But I was thinking, like, the problem is here, like we have too much distance, so this arm can move like separately from the head, so we can cover that distance here by just moving this part over here. So it also has like a joint inside, it also has another actuator inside, so it can help the arms and shoulders to rotate. There's a light, there's like a situation, like it's like a UX, it's a UX piece that actually shows like the situation of the robot. It can light up in red when it's in a bad state, or if it needs maintenance or anything like that. It also lights up the area that it's actually in the field, while it's working, so it can light up the area a little bit. And we have the sensor over here, is the LiDAR sensor. It's also covered a bit by the glass slash like plastic cover, so it can be it cannot be affected by the dust and stuff all around. Battery areas over here is actually it's a cover for the battery actually, and let's just try to find over here. It's like you press this button. My name font conversions are bad, and this part comes out, and we have the battery inside. There's the battery, you can just take it off by just grabbing from here and just lifting, like pulling it, and the battery just comes out. So you can either replace it or do the maintenance from there. As I said, this is the delta joints for the head and payload, so you can balance out when there's like a weight on top, so it will not really slide or just fall down. yeah, this is currently that for the detailed part of the robot. What else do we have? These are also some sensors in the back, but they could also be like taken out, and there could be some maintenance done. And yeah, this is about that. Back to our old friend Blender. It's a slightly older version of the design. Actually, I used this one for the end result as well, and then eventually I just made some changes in the battery section for the robot. It's not really that important for now. I put it back to Blender after going through like exporting it as the file and then putting into Moi 3D so it could actually generate me like a polygon version of the quad version of the robot, so I could have more control on the poly count, and then it will be easier for me to edit the robot. I put it over here and I quickly assigned some materials, and there's like little bits of like grunge on some parts, especially the metal is much more visible, but also it's on the plastic as well. There's like little bits of surface imperfections going on, which is also important for the believability purposes. Graphics, I've done them in Illustrator. I just wanted them to look as sleek as possible with some required details, manufacturer information, and design labels and stuff. Monolith Labs is the company that I just created myself for my industrial design stuff. The robot is called Loki. It's also has its own way of calling it. I forgot what it's called. It's just the naming convention that was actually looking cool, so I just went on with it and just generated something for it afterwards. It's not really that important. Same goes for the plastic parts. It actually has some little bits of imperfection there. Little bits of detail is kind of important when it comes to presentation. So this is like the version that wasn't rigged, and by referencing to the previous lockout that I've done, the articulations and the armatures and all those like rigs that I have done, like, they were very rough in this in the Blender version. I referenced that still and moved on to the next phase by doing an IK rig on the robot afterwards, so it kind of works. So it was kind of a pain in the butt in the end. Kind of worked out. So yeah, everything's quite fine. This part's kind of not moving, I guess. It's because I'm running from the wrong part. These are also working. The fingers are working as well. Everything is functioning except for these. I didn't have the patience for that, I'm sorry. But the pistons also works, although it's kind of janky at this stage, but for presentation purposes I think it was alright. I think it was functional enough, so yeah, you just have to adjust it. I didn't put any constraints into it, so it kind of comes out, but things work accordingly. Things work like the way that I kind of intended them to work. The box over there is just for presentation purposes. I put it over here just for the easier drag on. I actually did like a walk cycle for the robot, and yeah, the walk cycle was kind of janky, but still it did its job. And then I did some, I'll put it over here. Let's just move it over. and slowly moves. It's floating around. That's why I didn't really show it in the teaser. What I wanted to show was this articulation over here. Also slightly lifting itself up and just moving it around and just moving the arms a little bit and putting the payload on top. I think that was an important part, so it kind of worked out. And lighting, let's just go back to the lighting over here. I actually have keyshot, but I didn't want to use keyshot for this. I want to have as less software as possible in my work progress, and using Blender right now would make much more sense instead of me going to keyshot. And if I would like to do something more extensive with the robot, it will be easier for me to do them in Blender after modeling it in Fusion. So yeah, I did it over here actually. It has 4-point light. So we have one spotlight and one rim light, one key light, like 2 key lights. One of them is just in front of the camera. It's like maybe not a key light, but it's like a filler light, and then I also put a sun with some very high angle over here. So it has some very soft shadows. I didn't want them to be too intense. Yeah, I wanted to show every part of the product as much as possible, because it's still a sterile design. It's like a very sleek design, so it has to be bright and it has to look as hopeful and as friendly as possible. But also it shouldn't disappear in the background, so there must be a good amount of rim light to separate it from the background, but still it has to be as what's it called, like unified and directed as possible. And yeah, that was the main goal. And we have the little bits of texture on the carrier above. Yeah. Also quickly, we'll show you guys the stuff that I have done on VisCon. Like there's whole kinds of like workflow here that I try to explore. I also showed you guys the little bits of it before, and like 90% of it was not really relevant for this project, and like none of them actually made me happy. I played around with the proportions and stuff over here. None of them made me happy. So I decided to use VisCom eventually on some additional like color changes and stuff for presentation purposes in the end. I thought there could be like 4 different versions of colors for this, like 4 color options. It's one of them is white, it could be used for black purposes and stuff. Orange one can be used for construction, and black one and orange one can also be used for the Arctic expeditions and stuff. Blue one can be used for such logistics environments and still lab environments. It can be used. Orange version also can be used for the Arctic expeditions and the outside field work, actually, like going outside and just doing some like research purposes. These are also generated. I generated them in Viscom and actually eventually put them into Gemini. Gemini gives me like 4 options to generate videos, so I grabbed them and I put them into the Gemini and just I generate new videos and put them into the presentation after. Viscom is great for creating some very realistic looking visuals despite the unbelievable details. Like some of them doesn't really make sense at all. Like some scale also doesn't make sense for me. But they 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 3 or 5 visuals are good enough for me to move on to the next stage and just make some presentations out of or videos out of. And yeah, I grab them and just use them. You can also see them in, here in the video. And yeah, it's also on my Behance. You can also have a look at it. So yeah. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry for the messy presentation for this week. I'm trying to get back to the old pace that I had. Like I said, YouTube will probably punish me for not being here for a while, so I would appreciate your support. And also thank you guys for all your support when I was not here as well. There was a lot of like followers and likes and stuff for videos. Yeah, I wish you all a great week. Please like and subscribe. And I wish you all a great Halloween as well. Please enjoy with your friends. Go outside, get some sweets and go for a trick or treat. And yeah, stay healthy and stay safe. Let's keep in touch. And yeah, peace out.